Give me a good
Welcome
one.
back. Oh shit. All right. Welcome back to the Highway 49 podcast. We're back with episode 108 of the show. Today we've got Grayson Loftis on, quarterback for the Charlotte 49ers, transferring in from Duke this offseason. We'll have him on here in a little bit, but we've got to catch up, guys. It's been a few weeks. Quite a bit's gone down since the last time we talked. So as always, best thing we've seen this week. Hannah, what you got?
I guess for me, baseball season has started for the summer. Back with the corn dogs for another season. So super excited. It's been super fun. I mean, last week I was telling you guys before the pod started, but it rained all week, so the vibes have not been super high. But I don't know, guys. This might be the first season that the Queen City Corn Dogs win the SCBL championship. They're pretty good this year. They won the other night 16-4. Ended in early innings in the seventh inning. Super great night all around. So hopefully the vibes continue to get high as the guys get to know each other, but we also get to play where Queens plays their games for the baseball season at Stick Williams Dream Field off of Tuckasegee Road. So if anyone wants to come out for some summer baseball, we got a lot of fun events happening Hawaiian Night Thursday. So it's been really fun to kind of get back into the groove of things. But Jeremy, it's been a long time since I've seen you. What is up, and what's the best thing that you have seen this week?
It has been a long time, Hannah. I think I got two today. Number one, I'm gonna go with the movies as always. I've been on a Tom Cruise binge, and I watched a movie called Magnolia. I think that might have been released in like 2000 or 1999 or something. Great cast, Julianne Moore, Philip Seymour Hoffman, R.I.P. to Philip Seymour Hoffman. John C. Riley is in there, some other good actors, and I'm used to seeing Tom Cruise as the Mission Impossible badass who's jumping off planes and Edge of Tomorrow, just doing action stunts. And in this one, he was like a kind of like an Andrew Tate grifter. And I don't align myself with any of that. But it was just really weird and kind of cool to see Tom Cruise be someone that wasn't, a James Bond-esque badass. So Magnolia, 3 hours, really weird movie, but good movie. I'd watch it again. I'd recommend it. That's my first thing I've seen. And number two, my rec basketball team got our first win of the season on Monday. I was on the IR
No.
for a
Hey.
while with my ankle, 2 weeks, but I came back on Monday, dropped the best game of the season, going crazy on them boys. I'm the worst person ever.
And what?
Yeah, Hunter knows. When you play basketball with me, I'm the worst. I turn into the worst person ever. So we finally got our first win of the season. I made sure to get a picture of the scoreboard so people who think maybe we're fibbing that I have the proof. We won 45-41. We tried to sell that game every chance we got in the last minute. We walked out of there with a dub. 9:30 p.m. tip, guys,
Ooh.
on Monday. I got home at 11 p.m., but it's okay because we got the dub. Those are the two best things I've been seeing for the week. Hunter, wrap us off. I know Hannah said Honolulu or like Hawaii themed. That might be a good segue into
Yeah.
what you have for us now.
Yeah.
Some Lilo and Stitch talk, definitely. So I'm gonna reach back to a couple of your best things in a second, but I will talk about Lilo and Stitch. Saw that last night. I really liked it. Jeremy said you had heard some flack on it. I thought the movie was really good. The live action version. Stitch is hilarious. The whole thing is it made me feel like a kid again, and it had been so long since I had seen Lilo and Stitch that you almost forget. And then like some of the little life lessons through the movie, and I'm like, man, no wonder I am who I am today because I saw that when I was like 6.
Take me into the man I am.
Mm.
Yeah, who knows? Going back to Tom Cruise, Jeremy, have you seen Collateral with Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise?
So I started it. I have not finished it. I'm probably only like 25 minutes in, but I have on my letterbox like a ton of Tom Cruise movies. I have to watch Jerry Maguire. I have to watch Vanilla Sky. I have to watch Collateral, and I think I have to watch Born on the 4th of July. So those
Okay.
are on my watch list coming up, and I'll let you know as these pods start getting, more frequent too, how those movies went.
Yeah, I took a film class in college, and Collateral was one of the movies we had to like dissect and write about. And the switch in that movie is sick. So definitely when you go to watch it, call me or something. Um, Second best thing I've seen is I'm rocking the shirt today, the Earnhardt docuseries on Prime. So I basically grew up in NASCAR. Y'all could tell basically in the background. My grandma worked at the Speedway for 38 years. She was the VP of ticket sales. So I grew up going to races around racing. And I actually went to one of the first races I've been to in a long time, the 600 a few weeks back. And I will say, when you don't have a favorite driver on the track and you don't know all the storylines, it's rough as hell to watch. It's just vroom, vroom, okay. So it definitely doesn't hit the same as when I was a kid. But watching through that docuseries and learning all the background stories and all the different things of like the Earnhardts and knowing that it's in Kannapolis right up the road is really cool. So would definitely recommend. It's like a four part docu series on Prime. It's really good. Uh, so those are the best things I've seen this week. And the worst thing, retore the labrum in my right shoulder. I'm not in a sling now. I will be soon, and that's part of the reason for the pause and like these podcasts and even some of the writing. It's frustrating. You talked about rec basketball, dude. We were undefeated in rec volleyball. Got hurt. I'm going out. I feel like Carson Wentz. If they win the bowl, I'll be sick, but I will have to root for my team. I can't go out like that. Uh, but you know how it goes.
Secretly wishing that, there's
Nah, dude, I
a
don't.
point that like, oh, Hunter would have been able to score
Yeah,
that
I
point
would have
for us,
spiked that for sure. Nah, just kidding.
They need me.
Nah, but I definitely am having FOMO. I'll be in a sling for about a month. Have the surgery here in a few weeks, so should be good to go for writing and such when football season starts. But speaking of that, we got some kickoff times for Charlotte football. Some exciting spots this year, at least 7 games released so far. ESPN, ESPNU, ESPN2, CBS Sports Network, and a couple on ESPN Plus. Starting with the biggest game of the year, in my opinion, this is how we felt about JMU last year. This is the how good is this Charlotte team? You'll get an idea against a quality team right off the rip. Appalachian State, Friday night, August 29th, Bank of America Stadium, 7 p.m. kick. That's going to be a super fun environment. And then following it up, that following week, 7 p.m. kick against North Carolina, Bill Belichick on the opposite sideline at Richardson Stadium, 7 o'clock kick Saturday night. Fun spots for Charlotte. A lot of weeknight games. They play Thursday, they play Friday. Their ESPN game is against Rice this year at home. They're playing at Army at noon, so at West Point. That'll be a really fun game. And I'm looking forward to how this all plays out. I do know, unfortunately, I will not be able to go to Charlotte at ECU this year. Some good friends of mine have a wedding that same day, so I'm fried on that. So, Jeremy, you might have to make that road trip by yourself. But uh, no shot, yeah.
real. Oh, y'all gotta watch the video portion to get that one.
Yeah. Watch a 10-3 barn burner again. No, I'm just kidding. I think this game will be a little better this time around. But one thing too, so really excited about this. Sean Brown received his waiver, NCAA waiver to play out another season in the green and gold. We're still working to get him on this pod. We've heard some stories before from Chris Reynolds about kind of how he ended up at Charlotte, but leading receiver or leader in receptions last season with 35, and he's going to be back to play his final year of college football in the Tim Albin offense. So looking forward to seeing that.
That might be a joint pod. I think it'd be great to have Sean and Chris on at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know how the logistics of that would work, but I want to see them, having their little jabs and, riffing back and forth while we can have that on recording as well.
Yeah.
No doubt. One more, I guess, Charlotte football specific topic. You guys have all seen the stadium renovations. I'm curious, Hannah, what were your thoughts when you saw that they were breaking ground here in August?
I mean, it's definitely kind of a shock when you think about breaking ground before the season kind of starts.
Sorry, I set you up with this.
That was nasty. That was so nasty.
I was ready.
Yeah, no, you were.
That was a hate alley-oop. I've never seen someone throw a hate. That's crazy.
I was so ready. You could have just let me keep talking, but
ISO,
um,
ISO, my fault. ISO.
hey, obviously it's a little bit of a shock. whenever you see that they're going to break ground before football season even starts. But I'm really excited for this stadium expansion. I'm excited for when it all comes to fruition. I feel like this is something that Niner Nation has been waiting for a really long time. We talked a little bit with Grayson Loftis about why not Charlotte, being competitive and being just like the rest of D1 colleges. And I think this is a start to that. I mean, to draw more people in, to have great facilities. I mean, I'm super excited for whenever this comes to fruition. I mean, obviously, it's going to be a little while, take a little time, but I'm really excited to kind of see the layout. I saw the pictures of the new layout of everything that they're looking to do. It's a little different from what they put out the first time, so it was kind of scaled back just a little bit. But still looks great. Excited for whenever they hit the ground running and get to work.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry again about the hate alley but it I've never heard
I'll
that
take the
before.
hate.
Uh, yes, the renderings do look a little different, and I think that's I have not asked anybody this, but working in the engineering world, the cost of something in May of 2022 when this was announced to June of 2025 is a little bit different. I do want to read a quote and then I want to talk about some of the impacts of it. So this is from Mike Hill. He said, "The response to our expansion plans have been tremendous, and on August 27th, those plans will begin to take shape as we officially begin construction." So they're going to do like a ribbon cutting ceremony that morning. It's a Wednesday morning. He said, "Over the next 2 seasons, with as little interruption to the game day experience as possible, our project team will be hard at work delivering a high-end premium space and more seating capacity for Niner Nation." So there is going to be, I guess, not necessarily in the stadium impacts, but right outside. So this is going to impact gate two, which is the main gate that leads to the press box. So it, what they're saying is that will not be operational. Some tailgating spaces will be temporarily relocated. So that sounds like Normulence to me. The whole section out there, it sounds like that will be shifted. Hannah kind of touched on it. Doing it 2 days before the season opens is, I don't know. That's I guess that's just how it fell, how the funding worked, and the agreements made between the university and the contractors, then the companies that are going to build this. But the next 2 years, it's finally happening. I feel like we've been talking about it. I looked back, and the story I wrote was May 26, 2022, when it first was announced. So this is the only college football program I cover. I'm not exactly sure how long it takes, but it feels like it's been some time. So I'm glad it's happening now. And something else that felt like it took forever in between was college football 25. 26 is already coming out. I'm curious, Jeremy, I don't know if you played 25 at all, but were you ever a college football video game fan? Either one of you?
Absolutely. NCAA football 14.
Yeah.
That was the last time I've touched or played that game or a college football, related sports game. I'm super excited. My whole thing was I don't want to get a new Xbox until GTA is coming out. And then after GTA was pushed back another year, I'm like,
Might be time.
might be time. So we'll see. I'm starting to what'd you say? Unthaw? I'm starting to
I'm
unthaw
not,
right
man.
Ross.
now. So we'll see how it is. But I'm super excited. I mean, of course I'd love to play with the Seminoles, but it might be a tough stretch doing that. So we'll see how it is. But I'm super excited for the game and the excitement around it. Because when fall comes around, is there any time better than the fall, guys? Like college football, NFL comes back, weather starts to not be blisteringly hot. The color changes in the like autumn is so beautiful. So really excited and yeah, Hannah, any thoughts?
I mean, I'm not the biggest video game player, but I know what the heck, Hannah? Crazy. But I have played a little bit. The new one came out last year, right? I played a little bit of that one at one of my friend's house. Her husband was playing. He was like, "Hop on the sticks, Hannah," and I was like, "All right, say less."
Saw him in cover zero and hit a
Yeah,
blue.
I was just going. I actually won a game, so I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm kind of nice. Who knows? So I feel like I need some practice, but I feel like it's just really exciting, especially when, you know. people are so immersed in college football and they can actually see their teams and like the people who are actually playing and coaches. And I feel like it just makes the experience so much fun, especially when you follow along the whole season. I don't know, it's just so fun, especially when maybe your team's really bad, but when you're playing, you're freaking great, So you're like, I don't care if we're bad in real life, but we're winning here.
It's those things where Knicks fans will go on 2K after losing game 6. Will put up 200 points with Karl Anthony Towns. But Hunter, throwing it back to you, Dale Earnhardt Jr., huge Charlotte guy. He has
Yeah,
his own, like, is it dynasty? Like, talk us through what he has, how much work he's put
yeah.
into his team, because that guy is the GM, the coach, the everything of Charlotte football.
I think the funniest thing that he said, so I think he went on Bussin' with the Boys. I didn't watch the full thing, but I did watch this clip. And he talks about how he has a tablet with a depth chart, but not just that. He also has this entire playbook stacked with the plays that have the best average. So on 1st and 10, he knows exactly what he's running based off that average. If he needs a variable, he's got it. He's like a NCAA 25 fiend. Like that's what he does is he knows he literally said I'm not as good as the people I play against, so I have to take every bit of the game that I can break basically and take advantage. No doubt. And actually Dale Jr., at least what I heard, will be in attendance for App State Charlotte in the opener at B of A. So that'll be really cool. Uh, no doubt. I am excited for 26. I took the day off when 25 came out last year. Lex has a video of me going insane. I score like the first touchdown because it had been
Yeah.
like 12 years. And dude, I had modded the PS3. I'm playing with Chris Reynolds, Vic Tucker, Grant Dubose on updated rosters on there. So getting to today's age with like nice graphics and definitely feels good. So this year Tim Albin, Todd Fitch, and Nate Finez are all in the game. They're going to be realistic coaches and coordinators. Probably not Bill Belichick. He's never been in a single Madden. I don't imagine he's going to be in this. Maybe Jordan Hudson will. Who knows? Another little note: Saquon Barkley is going to be on the Madden 26 cover. As an Eagles fan, I'm excited about this. I will actually be buying that first Madden in a little while. So excited about that for sure. What are you about to say, Jeremy?
I was covering my mouth, doing the zip, throwing it out, not expecting a Hudson joke, but you did it. So,
My fault. Everyone, show everyone the shirt you're wearing today, man. We got
Yeah.
a we got a Seminole
Charlotte,
on the
Look at
pod for the
that
YouTube
Charlotte
designer.
listeners.
basketball.
Yeah,
Shout out Deja Lawrence.
Hooper.
Not here anymore, but a great Charlotte player. And Coach Karis Consuega. So wish them the best.
Yeah, missed them. Need to check in. One other thing, Charlotte related. So John Tobias, if any of you guys know him, he's a statistician for ESPN. You'll see him around a lot of the Charlotte games all over the country, feeding stats to the broadcasters. But I met John through, I took an intro to sports analytics class when I was a junior at Charlotte. Awesome class. I mean, you're learning all these different things. One of my first assignments for him was to break down every shot and every make for Kobe Bryant's 81 point game, chart them all over the court. It's just like assignments that I might do on my own if I have nothing to do, stuff like that. Uh, took a sports practicum with him, which is how I met a lot of people with the Panthers, with the Hornets, some connections I still have today. And he's really just always been a super welcoming guy, and he will put on for the people that put effort in for him. For example, 2021, Charlotte starts the season. I think they're 3-1. They had beat Duke, beat Middle Tennessee, had beat another team. I can't remember who. And they're headed to Illinois to play the Fighting Illini, or however you say it. I have no idea. And he's bothering me that whole week. Man, are you going up there? Man, are you going up there? Like Charlotte already beat a Power Five. They're about to go win this game. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I'm a college kid. Basically, I don't have money like that. I can't just fly there. I can get a hotel. He actually funded my hotels for that trip and made sure that I went there. So that's the type of dude he is. The reason I say all that is Charlotte is now offering a new Bachelor's of Science in Sports Analytics. I think they're one of maybe two schools around the country that are offering that. And I will say, if you're a younger kid or you're a student at Charlotte or anything like that listening to this, take his class. If you love football, basketball, whatever, take his class. He is one of the best. I would highly recommend. I just had to plug that. So great dude. Super excited for the program. One more thing until we get, or before we get to the Grayson Loftis interview. The Charlotte Checkers. I don't know how many of you guys watch hockey or pay attention at all. I normally do for Wednesday night dollar beer night. Not gonna lie to y'all. But I had to write a story on them for the Observer a few weeks back, so I've been tuned in. But they're now in the Calder Cup Finals, which is pretty cool. They went back in 2018, 2019, and they're filthy. Like they just swept their way through the Eastern Conference Finals basically. And they'll likely be playing Vancouver's affiliate, the Abbotsford Canucks, for the Calder Cup. So pretty cool. Definitely check out a Checkers game. They're a lot of fun. And like I say, if you catch them on a Wednesday, the dollar beers aren't so bad either. That's all I got for today. I got anything else before we get to the Loftus Pod?
Just got a text in my rec basketball group chat 2 weeks to go. We play the team in last for a spot in the playoffs next week. Proud of everyone on the dub this week. It's winner go home time now. So I am gonna lock myself in a dark room for the next 6 days, focus on what I need to do,
Zero Dark
watch some
30.
film, Zero Dark 30, watch some film. Might hit up Aaron Fern to get some tips, and it is full steam ahead on Monday of next week.
Do you know the matchup? Like, do you know the team?
Yeah, they're the worst team in the league.
Oh, okay. So maybe you got film.
We're the
Yeah.
second worst team in the league.
Hey
Oh,
man, that's fine. That's
hey,
fine.
Here we go.
underdog story, you know?
A movable force versus a stoppable object.
Yo, what's the tallest person on the team? What are we talking about here?
Oh no, we got some height.
Got height?
I'd say 6'6".
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Fair. I was just curious. If let me know when this champ or this playoff game is, dude. I might come out and like
We gotta make the
see,
playoff first, but
see
yeah.
what's going on. Yeah, let me know.
Yeah. It's at Ray's Splash
Sure.
Planet. You know what that is?
I
It's
do
it's
not.
mad close. It's in this area. Yeah.
Okay. All right. With that, we're about to get to Grayson Loftus. Pretty good conversation with him. Seems like a really good dude, very calm guy. And I'll be looking forward to seeing kind of how that battle plays out when camp picks back up here before long. But as always, thanks for tuning in to the Highway 49 pod. We'll be back soon with more. Grayson Loftus, man, transferring in from Duke, first season in the green and gold. I gotta ask, first off, what's it been like so far uh, here in Charlotte?
It's been awesome. Coming from Duke, is a little more smaller city in Durham, and being able to be back in Charlotte, not far from home, with Coach Albin and his staff, and Coach Miller and his strength staff, and this locker room. I'm fired up, and it's been a good time so far.
Absolutely, man. Now, quick, so I don't know how many fans know, but you went to Gaffney coming from South
Hmm.
Carolina. You don't remember Mr. Hill, a math teacher, do you? That's a stretch,
Mm-mm.
dude. This is
No, I
my
don't.
it's a cousin of mine that teaches there. When I saw you were there, I had to ask. But getting right into it, man. Charlotte actually offered you out of high school in
Yep.
2021. Will Healy and his staff. What was the interaction like then, the impression then? We'll start there first.
Yeah, I think out of high school, I was a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed high school kid looking for any opportunity he could get, and Coach Healy and Coach Carney both offered that, and I thought very highly of both Coach Healy and Coach Carney. I kind of thought Coach Healy was the real deal, and Coach Carney himself as well. And I liked it at the time, and kind of path took us different ways throughout the recruiting process and all. But out of high school, it was a really neat place, and it wasn't too far from home.
Definitely, man. We're gonna kind of weave in and out of your journey here. Although a different situation now via the portal. How did Albin
Yeah.
and his staff find you? We talked about it a little bit off air, but curious for the listeners.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of they were looking through the portal, and then I think it's maybe a suggestion from a prior connection that one of the coaches on staff had, and I got a call from Clay Finney, the director of player personnel, and he's like, "Hey, can you come up on a visit?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're supposed to be flying out somewhere on Friday. We called, I think coming on Wednesday night." He said, "Can you come up tomorrow?" And I said, agreed. I said, yeah. So we went up Thursday before I flew out on another visit on Friday, and didn't even get on the plane Friday night. Just committed Friday morning as soon as we left Coach Albin's office, and the rest is history.
Definitely, man. And I kind of want to walk it back really fast. So, 2021, around the time Healy offered you,
Mhm.
Charlotte got their biggest win to date, which was actually over Duke before you were Blue
Yeah.
Devil.
Uh-huh.
Just taking it back to them, what was it like to see that kind of play out, knowing that you would, I mean, eventually kind of full circle play for both teams?
Yeah, I think. especially today's day and age of college football, I think it really is a journey that takes twists and turns, and you really have no idea what's going to end up happening. And I think it was neat getting that opportunity to see everything in high school and be in Charlotte and visit the place and kind of get recruited by the staff that was there at the time. So that way, when you're back in the portal and everything was kind of familiar, I kind of knew my way around and knew what the program was. But yeah, like you said, it's really a full circle moment because I remember watching that game, I think, on my phone coming back from somewhere, watching the end of it to see if the Niners could pull it out. But I think it is it's funny and it's a good representation of what college football is today, with the transfer portal and moving around. So yeah.
I want to go back because you just mentioned you came to Charlotte on Wednesday. You had a flight Friday, didn't get on the
Mhm.
flight. Why'd you cancel that flight? What happened in Charlotte that allowed you to say, "Hey, this is the place, and I don't need to go look anywhere else"?
Yeah, I think when you're getting recruited and you're in this process as a recruit at a high school, you're looking for a lot different things than you are as a transfer. And my perspective had just completely shifted on what I was looking for. And I think just in my conversations with Coach Alvin and who he is as a person, and what he stands for, really just made it feel like home. And it's going to be a fair opportunity. Is kind of what he preached. And then just it's hard in college football to find people that are genuine and honest, like Coach Alvin is. They're very hard to come by. And when you find them, you kind of latch on and you don't let go. So when we had that chance to sit down and meet with him, it was we knew it was right. We made that decision.
You said your perspective changed over time. I want to take it back to your high school days. I'm looking through the
Mhm.
list of offers on 24/7. Charlotte, Appalachian State, Marshall. All right. Then I see Kentucky, West Virginia, Duke, and Georgia. Talk about the high school recruiting process and how you ended up in Durham to start your career.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of camps. I wasn't a super highly recruited kid, so I was the one that you got the phone call and it was like, "Hey, we'd love to see you come to camp," and it was never the offer over the phone. So it was a grind to get through that process and get opportunities. And then once we narrowed it down to really it was between Duke and App State out of high school. And then so we met with Coach Elko, who was the head coach of Duke at the time, and it felt like it was the right opportunity out of high school, a place I could go and grow, and it had the education piece to it. And it felt like home. And so we always kind of said through high school, um, once we knew it was home and we felt it was right, we were going to pull the trigger. We weren't gonna draw it out just to take the visits and take the pictures. Once we thought it was right, we were going to commit. We were going to try to build something. And Coach Elko pitched that really well, and kind of we very similar conversations with him and Coach Alvin, in the sense of that he was very honest to us and down to earth, and it was a surreal experience as a high school kid. Um, and so yeah, he made it feel like the right opportunity, and we pulled the trigger on Duke.
And definitely. So we talked about it briefly during spring ball, but you played a lot as a true freshman. And it was kind of
Mhm.
like you mentioned, hey, this day you might be the third string, and oh, by the way, you're starting this big game. Talk about that experience, like as a true freshman, not a ton of media training, what that was like getting thrown into the fire like that.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a whirlwind and it was definitely a roller coaster, but adaptations, and this is what it's supposed to be and this is how you're supposed to do things. So I really felt like I'd been preparing for that moment ever since I got to on campus in January. And then everything that comes with it on top of that, Coach Feely and his staff, they do a great job of preparing you to use your voice and not let the moment get too big. So I think it was really a testament to just having great people around me, um, to handle that process and just try to hold on and not let the train lead me by.
Well, Grayson, to kind of piggyback off of that, you played in some big time games during your tenure, going toe to toe with Drake May against the Tar Heels, winning the Birmingham
Mhm.
Bowl against Troy, and scoring 3 wins in 5 stars to close out the season. How did those moments as a true freshman truly set you up for a successful collegiate career?
I think it just taught me the ropes of how to play college football. You can if you're on your red shirt, you can be on the team, you can be on the sideline, but until you're actually playing, and you don't, it's hard to understand what playing college football is truly like. It's a week to week grind. The preparation process is never ending. I think that was the main thing. It just taught me how to be able to go week to week and develop a routine and figure out what worked best for me, and also gain invaluable experience. At UNC. on a Saturday night in a 2 minute drill. Those situations that you can't really replicate in practice, that you only can replicate in the game, on those stages, is where I think I gained the most, invaluable experience.
Yeah, I remember exactly where I was watching that game at a bar with some friends, and I still can't believe they went cover zero, man. What were your thoughts as soon as that happened?
Yeah, so it's funny because we kind of had a feeling, fourth down. I don't know if there was a timeout beforehand or maybe it's before the drive. We kind of said it's a young quarterback. We knew that they were going to be aggressive and try to get to a young quarterback in a big moment. And Jordan Moore made a great play on the right sideline. And yeah, me and Connor Harrell joke about that game a lot.
Oh, I bet, man. Kind of sticking on the end of that freshman season. So I'm just curious and just for fun. So you committed to Mike Elko. He threw you a bit of a
Mhm.
curveball the next year. Business is business going to Texas A&M. Did you consider
Yeah.
at all making the move to College Station?
So I never had the chance. But no, to be honest with you, no. That Duke's locker room and that culture they have over there is really something special. Coach Feely does a great job with that group. And so I was really kind of when he left, we were all kind of we're going to stick together. There wasn't a lot of transfer. I don't think there was any transfers off that roster when Coach Elko left, and that really speaks to who what the university and that culture in that locker room is the culture really bigger than just one person, one coach, one player. So yeah, it never even crossed my mind to leave just because there was a coaching change.
Hannah touched on the big games you played in your tenure as a Blue Devil, and I kind of want to talk about not the physical part of football, but the mental part. You know, you have a big play, and then you got to go back and get back in the huddle and do it all over again. Or you have a bad play and the same thing. How did you stay even keeled? And how did your support systems like Riley Leonard and the coaching
Mhm.
staff allow you to be like, hey, even though you might have made a mistake here or made a great play here, that play's done with. You got to get back in the huddle. You got to do it all over again because, a game is 60 minutes long.
Mhm. I think it's like you said, a game is a true grind, and you're playing anywhere from 75 to 85 plays, and the play nine means just as much as play 84. Depending on the sequence of the game, and so I think it's really more just a matter of no matter what happens, the 10 guys that you're in the huddle with, the coaches on the sideline, they're all depending on you to come back and play the next play. It's a big part that I learned this in my last year of football is really there's a result to everything, and it's a matter of whether you get hung up on the result of that or you take it for what it was. You take what happened, good or bad, and you move on and play the next play. I think that's really the mindset that I've kind of tried to develop over the last year. There's this book called The Inner Game of Tennis, and it speaks about that and on how to just take what happens for what it is and feel it, and then just move on. And so that's really the part of where I'm trying to grow right now. And even that's really what I learned my freshman year too through those games was every play is just another play, and you got to kind of take it for what it was and move on.
So you said the book was called The Inner Game of Tennis.
Yeah.
Take it for what it is and move on. Manny
Mhm.
Diaz joins the team, takes the job, brings in his guy Malik Murphy. You kind of
Yep.
take that deal, you got to move on, right? How is
Mhm.
that? How was that, experience for you? And also, how do you kind of combat with, hey, now in practice, I've got to have that extra umph to every single play, knowing there's a guy who wants it just as bad as me.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of frustration when it first happened, and just like anybody else would be, you kind of feel disrespected. Somebody's trying to kind of bring in somebody to replace you, and then you quickly learn that this is a business, and at the end of the day, people are going to make decisions for what they feel is best, and then it becomes you kind of flip your mind a little bit, and it's all right. Now, what do I have to do to try to get on the field? Um, and so like you said, you just put your head down and go to work. I had a great support system then too that kind of pushed me and didn't let me just get down on my feels about it. So it really was, I'm thankful that it happened now. Looking back on it, me and Malik became really close throughout the year. He's a great dude. I wish him all the luck at Oregon State. So yeah, I think it was an experience that maybe you didn't dream about happening to you, but I'm kind of glad it happened. It's molded and shaped me into the person that I am right now.
And now you mentioned, wanting to be able to get onto the field as any player would like. What
Mhm.
prompted you to hit the transfer portal?
Yeah, I think it was just more of us looking for a different opportunity. I think it wasn't a secret. Everybody came out about Darian transferring into Duke, and so, I think it was just a situation where it was we were going to go look for somewhere that we could compete and do it with a fair competition, and UNC Charlotte offered that opportunity.
We've spent a lot of time talking about your season at Duke, but I want to go back to Charlotte where you are now, and
Mhm.
obviously where you're going to continue to grow. But you knew of Charlotte, you said it was kind of like home, but what was your impression from the outside before getting here, and how has your impression kind of changed since being on the inside, being immersed in the culture here at Charlotte?
Yeah, I think coming from Gaffney, UNC Charlotte's very, very prominent and popular. We all know about it. And so, I think the thought process about the program is just why can't this be a winner? Why can't we win here? You're in Charlotte, you have all the resources, you have a great alumni base, and you have a ton of talent around the university. And so, I think that was my kind of my mindset and thoughts on the university before I got here. And now that I'm here, it's almost kind of intensified that a little bit. We have the resources, we have the backing from the university and the fans that want a winner, and we could be Charlotte's team. So I think that's kind of the my thought process now is why can't we win, and why can't we be the ones to play for the American in Charlotte at the end of the year?
With the NFL draft, you hear some guys say, that they ask some weird questions in those rooms. Um, you also hear some weird stories coming out of the portal sometimes. But for
hmm
you, it was kind of the opposite, where you told us earlier how, kind of straight to the point, you saw what you liked, you talked to Albin, and it all
hmm
worked out for you. What was your experience like overall, and how, I guess, easy and seamless was it to not have any of those weird things happen? But you know what? I feel comfortable. I'm ready to move on, and let's lock this in.
Yeah, I learned very quickly in high school that I hated the recruiting process. I hate the pictures and the cushy stories about how great the university is. Like I didn't enjoy that. I liked talking to people, getting to know the people in the building, and trying to figure out if that was the right place for us. And so I think that's what I really enjoyed about my transfer process is it was just like that. Charlotte was the first visit we took. They were the first one of the first opportunities we had, and so being able to do that made the process extremely seamless and really easy. And I credit, Coach Alvin and his staff for that. But yeah, the transfer world's crazy. It is a different world out there.
And off that, what boxes did Charlotte check for you? I know you said it was the first visit. It was the fair opportunity to play, to get on the field, but anything else to kind of expand on there?
I think in my conversations with Coach Alvin, his commitment to truly building a culture and a program here, it kind of reminded me a lot of the way where Duke was at when I committed to Coach Elko, and kind of just very similar message of, you can't come in and start winning games by just changing people or recalling different plays. It's really truly a culture change. Um, and I think we're seeing that with Coach Miller and his staff, and the guys in this locker room truly committing to what Coach Albin and them want to do. But his conversations about his vision, how he wants to do things, and what his view for the culture and um, future for this program was really the big box that he checked for us.
Now, it kind of feels like a clash of styles competing for the starting quarterback job. Just talk about what you bring to the table and your thoughts on the battle to this point. We talked a little bit earlier to Connor Harrell and just how he kind of viewed that you guys were kind of sharpening each other in this battle, but just talk about what you
Mhm.
bring to the table and kind of the camaraderie in the room.
Yeah, I think first off, Connor and Zach are great guys. They both, seen a lot of football, played a lot of football. They're smart. So I think it is fun, and I think Connor's spot on. I think we all are sharpening each other. And I think we've done a good job of, making sure that the quarterback battle is not just, oh, I'm trying to beat out Connor or Zach, and no, it's all kind of, hey, we're all competing for one common goal. And at the end of the day, it's not, necessarily just to get on the field, but it's to let's play for the American at the end of the year. And so I think we're all pushing each other towards a common goal. But I think in personal terms, I think I'm more of a mental player. I'm not Connor fast, but I think I'm more of a guy that's going to keep us on schedule, get the ball to the right spot, make sure we're in the right place, and kind of keep the game moving along how it should.
Nearly 90% of the receiving production and likely four out of the five starters from last season's offensive line are all up for grabs. I don't really want to ask you like who stood out on offense because you're gonna give me the media trained answer, and I'm trying to dodge that. But how is it knowing that like a lot of people are all trying to prove something, right? You don't have these incumbent people who have the position already, who know what they're gonna have, who don't need to go 100% during spring or fall training camps because they know they have the position. What's it like with all you guys out there saying, "Hey, we all want it just as bad as the next person," and how's that been so far?
Yeah, I think it's been awesome. I think what you see now, and I don't know how common or recent this has been with the portal, but I think you get a lot of guys who view this as their last chance. And whether it is or not, who knows, but they view it as their next opportunity to truly go out and prove that they can do X, Y, or Z. So I think we got a lot of guys who are all committed to proving themselves, but have also done a really good job of buying into the program and Coach Miller and Coach Alvin, and are trying to prove themselves within the program and pushing the program to the next level.
I think for the viewers listening, there's a lot of anticipation for the fall and kind of what this team is going to shape up to be. When you think about this season's identity for the Charlotte 49ers, what are the first words that kind of come to mind?
Mm. I think tough and finishing probably are the two words that come to my mind. I think it's just, being disciplined, being tough, and then, making sure that when we're on the field and we're finishing, um, it's us versus everybody. And I think this group is really starting to do and learn that and do that through this spring and summer.
And to counter that, it's nothing if Niner Nation doesn't know you, let alone you being a player for this team. But what are the first words that you want to come to mind when Niner Nation thinks of you as they get to know you as a potential leader for this team?
Committed, disciplined, and I would say family. And it's more of an encompassing word rather than just a word for just me. But I think you know winning is fun, but winning by yourself is not nearly as fun as winning with all your teammates. And football is the greatest team sport on planet Earth, and it'll be the greatest team sport of all time. And so I think family is probably my most important one, just to be in that locker room and do it with those guys. There's no better feeling than winning a football game and going back and celebrating with your guys.
You guys want to hit the ground running this season, and the teams you're
Hmm.
facing also want to hit the grounds running with App
Yeah.
State, having some switch, and then you have the Tar Heels with Bill Belichick. What's those matchups, right? Like when you're sitting in your house, you're like, okay, you're trying to just map these things out. What's your mentality going into those games? Of course, it's another game, just another game,
Hmm.
but you have these programs that are all trying to start off fast, and how do you think you guys can do that?
Yeah, I think just by being us. I think looking at it as great opportunities to go and compete on national stages in front of large crowds and in front of a lot of people on TV, just to go showcase what Charlotte's going to be all about and what Coach Alvin's program is going to be. Um, I think you can't make the moment bigger than it is. You can't, it expand to try to do more. I think you just have to kind of stay focused on our goal and in our process and make the most of the special opportunities that we get.
Quickly, before Hunter asks his question, I just popped in my head. When you are behind center, like you're under center, you're looking at the defense, you see something, you're like, oh man, your eyes get big. You're like, oh, yeah, we're going at these guys. How do you keep that poker face sometimes where you're like, I don't want to reveal too much where the linebackers are looking at you for cues and stuff?
Can't be
What's that
smiling
like
though.
when you're just like, hey man, I gotta make sure I don't tell too much because I know we have something on this play.
Yeah, I think it really just comes through the week of the preparation. I think you do so much prep through the week that, kind of when you see it, you're like, all right, we got it, let's roll. And you don't really get kind of caught up in the whole, oh, this is it, this is the moment. I think it's just so much prep through the week and so many looks throughout the week in practice and on film and on and you kind of mental preparation for it that you kind of can just see it and roll with it and execute the play.
I'm just curious, you said you're more of a mental player. So
Mhm.
before a game, what does your pregame ritual look like in order for you to be able to be such a mental player and not be so much in your head?
Yeah, I think, whenever we get there into the stadium, the first thing I do is put my bags down. I'll go out and I'll pray, and then I do I know everybody's seen the Jay Billis thing where they walk the court. I will walk the field, and whether it's music or I have somebody walking with me and we're just talking, it's kind of my moment feel the environment, kind of get a company to where we're at, and then um, once I walk off the field, now it's game time. Once I go back in the locker room, start putting my stuff on, it's all about the team, the next play, the start of the game, whatever's next in the schedule is it. So I'd really try to use that 100-yard walk to truly decompress, feel the environment, and then move forward after that.
Definitely, man. And kind of looking towards the season, this is your third, maybe even fourth year in a row with the new signal caller, new offensive coordinator.
Third, yeah.
Yeah. So what is that like
Hmm.
for
Yep.
you?
Third.
Obviously, the change, and what's it been like getting to know Todd Fitch this early in the process?
Yeah, Coach Fitch is great. He's coached a lot of football. He's really smart. He knows a lot of ball. And in terms of it being a third system, I think it's an opportunity to learn a whole bunch of football. You get to hear new verbiage and technology and words and execute new plays, and you get to learn football from a whole different standpoint. And being a little bit of a football junkie, it's awesome for me. And I've yeah, it'd be nice to maybe get 2 years in the same system, but at the end of the day, it's kind of is what it is. You look at it as an opportunity to keep learning ball and grow as a football player.
And you talk about growing as a football player. Saw you got a chance to give back on social media, going back to Gaffney High School and
Hmm.
getting to work with some of the younger guys. What was that like for you during the spring?
Yeah, Gaffney is so I transferred to Gaffney halfway through high school, and the community, the town, they took me in with open arms. So any chance I can get back and give back to the community, I take full advantage of. That place, I wouldn't be here today without Gaffney High School. So it was great. It was a good opportunity to get back and be able to give back to the school and those kids.
Absolutely, man. One more, we'll get you out of here. I'm just curious. The locker room today, it's a lot of new faces, so us as media members haven't been around too much yet. But if you need a laugh, who are you going to in the locker room today?
Oh, need a laugh. Either Adam Hopkins or Jade McGowan's. Those are my
Fair
two.
enough. Two wideouts. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, Grayson, we really appreciate your time, man. And it was good to get to meet you out in spring and looking forward to seeing
Yeah.
how you develop and how the season goes in the fall, man. It's not long now.
Yep. Yep. Looking forward to it.
Appreciate you.
Looking forward to it. I appreciate y'all.